3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And this is what our screen, when you're logged in as a broker, looks like for Listings to Leads. Again, your URL to log in is Listings2Leads.com. If you are an admin or an ASC and you don't know your broker username and password, please reach out to me after the call. Shoot me an email or give me a call. I have most offices in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida's list. So if you do need your login for that office, please just let me know. If you're an agent and you need your login, contact your admin or ASC. They can log in and see what your username is and update your password for you. So the first thing we want to talk about today is how to add in a new agent. Now, unlike some programs where agents will be put in by either the annex or by an auto feed, Listings to Leads is a manual input. So when you get a new agent in your office, they do need to be manually input into your Listings to Leads program. Now, if they don't have any listings, that's okay. You can still go ahead and put them into Listings to Leads because there's great opportunities for them to do things like landing pages and marketing on Facebook and such. So go ahead and put them in as soon as they do join your office. You simply click on the tab here that says Agents. Now keep in mind, if you are an agent on this call, you will not see this tab. You will see your Profile tab, but you will not see the Agents tab. Once the Agents tab loads, you will see all of the current agents in the office. If Angie is on the call, she'll recognize these names. I am in our Traverse City 402 account here. Same with having to manually load them. You do need to manually delete them. If they're agents that are showing up on your list that are no longer with your office, you do want to delete them. It's very simple. You just click on their checkbox and hit delete. It'll ask you if you're sure, and then you can go ahead and delete them. But to add a new agent, you click Create New Agent. Now, obviously, as we all know from any website ever, anything marked in red or asterisk is mandatory. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill out myself as an agent. So you want to put their first name and their last name. The agent MLS ID is actually not the MLS ID you would think of. This is actually a code that is sent from our feed from Online Office to Listings to Leads, and it's filled in on the back end at a later date. So because it is red, though, we do have to put a 0, so we'll go ahead and put a 0 there. Now you do have the option to add an agent image here, but there is an issue that it doesn't always save when you do it from the broker desktop. So I will show you how to put in the agent image when we go ahead and log in as the agent here in a moment to finish setup. So go ahead and put a 0 in the agent MLS ID and just go ahead and ignore agent image here. Now, for the most part, we like to have our usernames as the agent's last name, but of course, if you are a Smith or a Williams, there's more likely one or more than that out there. So you can do things like add a 1, you can do things like add the first initial, whatever it might be that you want. Password is totally up to you. We usually create it as the first name of the agent first time out. Password for Listings to Leads is very loose. It does not have to have capitals. It just has to be 5 or more characters. Company name is important to pay attention to because of our licensing laws. We do need to make sure that we not only put in the name of our brand, Coldwell Banker, also our DBA, Schmidt Realtors. We also want to put a comma and put our office address. The reason for this is some of the flyers, some of the social media campaigns that get created from Listings to Leads doesn't always have the compliant information that we need in order to stay licensing compliant. Now, I know this is a Michigan issue. I apologize, I'm not quite sure how it works in Ohio, but having the office address is always a good thing anyway. So if you just go ahead and put this in here, it will show up on any of the content being pushed out from Listings to Leads. Now, your website, you want to pay attention to what it says here. You do have to have the entire URL, so you have to type out the HTTP. Now, if they're a newer agent, they may not have a vanity like carryscomp.com. That's okay. You can go ahead and put in their CB Great Lakes website. Now, email, you do want to put the email where they're actually going to be getting email. So you'll want to make sure that you've either helped them forward their CB Great Lakes, CB Hunter, or CBSMFL.com email addresses, or you'll want to put in their Gmail or whatever it is that they use that they actually get their email addresses there. Phone number can be their cell phone number. An MLS email, it has to be that CB Great Lakes email. This is how the system is supposed to be able to pull in listings and give them that agent MLS ID we talked about earlier. So whatever their email address that was given to them by online office, whether you're in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida, that's what you want to put in as your MLS email. Now I do have a question, so let me check on that quick before I switch screens. Sorry, Becky, I did not forget about Florida. I do apologize. Florida would be Sunstar. So it would be Coldwell Banker, Sunstar Realtors, and then your office address. So I do apologize for not mentioning you earlier. Melissa asked, can we put in their Zap email? You can put in the Zap email at a later screen, and I'll show you that. Agents do have the opportunity to run their Listings2Leads through Zap, and there's a way to do that on their profile setup on a different screen. So great question. If you meant website, then yes, you can actually do that too. You can put in any website here, including their Zap site. Now we all know the Zap URL is quite bulky, so we do suggest the agent paying the $12.99 for 2 years and getting a vanity email to mask that Zap site, because it is very long and it can be very confusing to clients. So we do recommend, if they're going to do their Zap site as their website, they go to GoDaddy or some of the other vendors and get a vanity website in order to mask that Zap site. So great questions, keep them coming. I will keep checking on them as they come in. So now we are done here. We can just go ahead and click Save. It can take a moment here, and for whatever reason we have been running a bit slow here in Traverse City today on the internet, so we'll go ahead and let that spin. Again, if you ever think it's frozen, especially with Listings2Leads, you can always check here. No matter what browser, there's usually something spinning. Or you can see down here in this corner, waiting for. So go ahead and just have a little bit of patience. And then it did switch screens, and you can see right here it says agent is added successfully. Your next step is you want to go to Profile. So we were in Agents. We're jumping over to Profile. This is the broker desktop profile. This is the office information. So you can see here the image. The first name and last name is actually the office information, and the username for the office. Now I am asking all admins and ASCs and managers that have access to their broker desktop, if you feel the need to change the password for security purposes, if somebody else had it in the past, please let me know. We've had issues with not being able to access our broker desktop. So if you do change the password that you were given, please just notify me so I can update my records. All of this information should be standard, already filled in for you. You can see the email depending on what your office, it might be myself, it might be Fred, it might be listings2leads@cbgreatlakes.com. Please go ahead and put your own emails in here, and that's important when it comes to our support tickets that we need to add later. So no matter what is here in the first two, go ahead and put yourselves as the alternate email down here, and that will allow you to receive support ticket information back. So what we want to do here is it should be all correct as it is. Your legal description should be filled out. Because we put a new agent in, we want to come down to the section right here that says push content to active agents. We don't need to worry about links, but all of our stock logoed banners and that legal description here, we want to make sure that we push that to the new agent that we just added. So check mark both of those boxes, scroll all the way to the bottom, and click Update and Save. Now what that did is it just added that legal description and all of the logos already loaded into the broker desktop. It pushed it to our new agent so that the new agent doesn't have to worry about setting that information up for themselves. So that can be important depending on your state. Michigan, Ohio, and Florida all have a little bit of different laws and licensing, and each board has a little bit of different stuff. So you want to make sure that you go over with your office manager or your broker and make sure that that legal description is correct. So you can see that it did save. It told me at the top that the profile updated successfully, and it did come back into the profile. So just make sure you pay attention to the top, and it will tell you if it did update. So again, that's from the broker desktop profile, and we were simply adding that information into the new agents. Now if you're adding 2 new agents, you can go ahead and add your agents like we did in the first step, and then you just have to do that profile step one time. So if you are adding in 5 agents, add your 5 agents, check mark those boxes down here, and then hit update and save, and it'll get pushed to all the new agents. Now our next step is that we want to sign out of the broker desktop. So again, that's in the upper right here. Click sign out. And again, all of these steps are one time when you have new agents. You want to log in. And because you just created the profile for the agent, you know their username and password. So you want to sign in as the agent. This screen always pops up on Listings2Leads. It pretty much gives you new information, tells you if you're having issues with your account, goes through a lot of information. Honestly, I probably should read it, but I don't. I simply just click off of it and it goes away. So if you're seeing that screen and you're not sure how to get around it, simply click anywhere else on the screen and it will go away. And that's the same for agent or broker. Now, if you're an admin or an ASC and you are toggling back and forth, it always tells you what screen you're on. It'll say agent desktop or broker desktop. And you can also tell over here because it's going to actually show the agent name as opposed to just the office name if you're not on the broker site anymore. You can also see our agents tab disappeared because we are on the agent desktop. So to finish our agent setup, we want to click on profile. Now this person already has a headshot, but because we didn't put it in the first time and I did not go back to my test profile, I'm in an actual agent profile, it showed up. But to add one, this is what it'll look like. It tells you the recommended width, 200 by 250. You simply click choose file. Now the agent should have provided you the headshot at some point when they came in because we need it for things like Dash and online office and all that good stuff. So it should be all there. And then you find the headshot where you have it saved to your computer. Choose it, click open, and it's going to pull in. Now you can see it's here, but until you save it, it's not going to actually show up. So when you scroll down when you're finished, you click update and save, and it'll show that headshot got pulled in. You can use a team name in Listings2Leads. Listings2Leads is very team friendly. I do recommend adding the team name if you have teams that have one person doing most of the listings. You can go ahead and add the team name into their account, but you can also add it into any of the other agents on that team. So when you're looking at things like the single property website, any of the flyers, the YouTube information, all of it will come through as the team name. So you do have that option there. This will be where your agent can change their password if they choose to. They can keep the one that you gave them, which is probably a good idea in case you ever need to get back in there for them. Or you can just let them know they can change it, because you can always go back to your broker desktop and change it back for them. You can see the information that we pulled in here came through, along with their primary email. Now you can see the send leads to. We've been doing some beta testing with JD, our social media and digital specialist, to run some of our Listings2Leads landing page leads through Zap, which of course is great because we know Zap does a lot of work for us with agent and client follow-up. So if your agent is going to choose to send their Listings2Leads leads through Zap, they just need to go into Lead Router, find the lead router email that will route it to them, and I can help you with that at a later date if your agent chooses to do that. And you would want to click send leads to that. The agent email that's going to show up on any consumer facing site, the single property website or whatnot, will still be this one here, their primary email. And then they can choose, if you have an assistant, if the agent wants to send it to you as the admin or ASC, you can then choose to send that to an alternate email as well. So they have a few options here depending on how they work their business. Again, this MLS email you want to keep here because that's what's going to feed your listings. Your data feed participant ID, if the agent has not had listings or if the listings are not being fed across correctly, you simply leave that blank. And I'll show you how to pull in listings in a minute. All the other information comes through. Here's that legal description that we pulled through. Agents have the option of changing how their theme looks. We do have luxury coming right around the corner, so they may choose to do that for the holidays. If they work in mostly luxury, we do have the luxury theme as well. Obviously, we want to ignore most of these things down here, but we do have 2 different Coldwell Banker Company themes to choose from. And again, now is probably a good time to mention that Listings2Leads is not a Coldwell Banker proprietary system. They are a third-party vendor that Coldwell Banker Schmidt worked out a really good deal in order to have all of our agents have premium access without having to go on their own to do. So when an agent comes in, that's why we have to add them to our broker desktop so that they get the premium access for free. Here is where you can set up the marketing automation for the agents. So every time they do get a new listing, or if you go in and mark the listings as a price change or an open house, they will get the information. So if you want them automatically to receive that, you can go ahead and click there. If you want your sellers, if you want your agent sellers to automatically receive those lead generation campaigns, you can check mark that there. A lot of agents will leave that blank and then manually send to the sellers that they want, which again, it's agent preference. There's a few other options here, whether your agent's doing WordPress and whatnot, and you'll see all of those details. There's connections to Wise Agent, Boomtown, Top Producer, Lion Desk. All of these will tie through to those other third-party vendors if your agent's using them. We do have a Coldwell Banker Schmidt family of companies that covers all 3 regions YouTube channel. The agent can choose to do their own channel here if they would like, or it'll default to the Schmidt family of companies YouTube channel. The reason why it's important to have at least one channel, whether it's the agents or the companies, is because every single listing will be put onto YouTube, and YouTube is the second highest used search engine on the web other than Google. So people are using it to search for properties. If they ever go to YouTube and put in an address, it'll pop the address of our listings. So we do want to make sure that we're getting our listings out there for our sellers and make sure that we're connected to YouTube here. Here is where you can help your agent link through to their social media. As you can see, it's all our usual suspects: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google. And then there is an opportunity for this Listings2Leads affiliate program. Unfortunately for our agents, it won't work because we're under the broker's premium, so you can just kind of ignore it. Again, once you're done with all of your changes, you just want to click Update and Save. Now you can see where that profile picture popped up. You do want to take a second look once you've added it, just to make sure that it doesn't get distorted. If the dimensions of the original photo are a lot different than what it suggested, it can look a little wonky. So you do want to make sure that you go back in and just peruse the photo to make sure that it does look correct and not distorted. We had a question come through from Mike and Gaylord. How do you find your Facebook business page URL? So to do that, you want to log into your Facebook. You want to go to your business page. You can simply toggle back and forth by clicking on that little down arrow there. And then your URL will show up in your box up here, so you can see right here. You can copy and paste that entire thread. Copy the entire thread from here and then go ahead and paste it in Listings2Leads. So again, like, just log into your Facebook, make sure you go to your page, your business page, and then your URL will be up there at top. And in case anybody's on the phone that's wondering, yes, this is my husband, and yes, those are my children. Sometimes it makes training easier when I can be able to manipulate the back end of it. So in case you were wondering, yep, husband and kids. Okay, great question. It's kind of the same concept for Twitter, Google+. If you just log into those accounts, you'll be able to find that URL to be able to tag through. So great question. So now our agent is added in. We do have a secondary issue, though, of listings feeding over. Now, in a perfect world, which we know technology is not, listings are supposed to automatically pull over. If they don't get automatically sent, we have 2 ways that we can do it. We can go to the agent's desktop. Again, we're still on agent desktop. Go to listings. And then you have this option here to grab active listing. So if you click there, you have to fill in the zip code and the MLS ID. Now you can see right here there's a caveat. The listing must be status active on Trulia to be grabbed. So if the listing's not fed from the MLS to Online Office to Dash to Zillow/Trulia, we can't pull it into Listings2Leads yet. Now that should happen within 24 to 48 hours. Once we grab in the listing the first time for an agent, that tells the system what that data feed ID is, and they should seamlessly flow after that for new listings. If that doesn't work, our second option is to ask the support desk from right here to get that listing across. Now I do want to mention one thing, so let me sign out of the agent desktop and sign quickly back into our broker desktop. And again, there's that annoying box, just click off. So anytime you need to ask support a question, you just click on this little orange box that says questions. And you can see the email here. Now what happens is a lot of times if the admins and ASCs have not changed their profile for the agent, for the broker desktop and added their own email, they're having requests sent through from these emails. And then when the support desk replies, it comes to me and I have to try to track down who sent it in and who needs the answer. And it can be a little bit cumbersome and it can kind of delay the answer. So I want you to go ahead in your profiles and add in your email that you're using as an admin or ASC or as a manager. If you can add those into the alternate, then you have an option of choosing how the support desk replies to you. So if you are having a problem with the listing, you just say something like Jeff Scomp's new listing, MLS ID 123456 at 123 Main Street is not populating. You click send, and then they will get back to you pretty quickly. The support desk at Listings2Leads is actually very helpful, and I've always had a pleasant interaction with them. Yes, Karen, I can repeat how the listing feeds to Listings2Leads. So the listing gets put into the MLS, your local MLS, Michigan, Ohio, Florida. It gets sent in a feed to Online Office. Online Office feeds out to a couple different places. One of them is Listings2Leads. So that's why when it says what your MLS email is, you need to put your Online Office email, whether it be cbsmfl.com, cbhunter.com, or cbgreatlakes.com. Because the listings are being sent over from Online Office. So great question there. Okay, so that kind of explains all of our agent, how to add in a new agent. And again, keep in mind it's all manual. Agents are not fed over automatically into Listings2Leads. They do have to be put in manually. Also, if the listings aren't flowing across, and you'll know within 24 to 48 hours if they're not in there, you can try to grab the listings, which you can also do from the broker desktop. You click listings. If you click grab active listing, it's going to take you to your agents tab eventually. You have to choose the agent that you want to get the listing for, and then it's the same way of grabbing in the listing. You come over here, grab active listing, zip code, MLS number, and grab. So you can do it from the agent's desktop or the broker's desktop. So next I want to talk about listings. So as we just went over from Karen's question, they do get pushed over from Online Office. However, they only get pushed over once. Snow is starting to fly here in Michigan, which is why I'm coming to visit you, Florida, in January. But we do have snow, so come April or May, when it finally goes away, we're going to want to update photos. Photos don't get updated in Listings2Leads. They only come over one time. New listings will come over in Listings2Leads. No photos, no price changes, no expireds, no under contracts, no solds get sent to Listings2Leads. It's a one-time feed. Everything else has to be manually done to the listing. It's simple to do, but it does have to be done manually. If the agent's not doing it, we do ask that the admins help, maybe run a hot sheet for your office once a week or a couple times a week and make the changes for your agent. There's a couple different ways to find listings. If you come over here, you can search by keyword. You can search by a specific agent to pull up all of their listings. If you put the MLS number in the keyword, it's going to pop up right away. Or as you can see here, they all are going to show up. So this is all the listings for our Traverse City 402 office. Now this screen will give you a headache if you look at it the whole time and not try to break it down. So let's break it down real quick. The nice little flashy red things means that there's been a change to it. Something's happened to this listing. It's not being fed over, but the system knows because of when it was put in that there should be something done to it. So it's flashing at you because you need to pay attention to it. JL is just listed. And then if we want to continue, see all your pages of listings here. If we go further up, A is going to be active. JS, if I can find one, would be just sold, which it's not going to switch for me yet. And then I do believe it's a P means pending. So that is your status here. The number you can ignore. It's simply ordering them for you in the number order. So if your eyes is trying to find that line, it gives you one more way to do it. So you can see all of these A's are active. So here is the address. It's in blue and it's underlined. So you can click on that to complete some of the steps. Or you have all of these options here. So we're just going to kind of go through them a little bit at a time. So it's your agent name here, the price that the system currently thinks it is. Now again, if that's not the current price, if they had a reduction, you do have to manually put that in there. And then your list date here. Now keep in mind, if an agent's logged into their desktop, they're only going to see their own listings, of course. We are, however, in the broker desktop, so we get to see them all. So going back down, you can find the listing you want. Again, if you have the MLS number or address, you can put that in your keyword so that will pop up easier for you. And also it'll get rid of all the garbly-gook. So for example, 7620 Timberline, if I type that in here, click search, it's going to pop that. Now this screen is a lot less overwhelming because you can see it's just that listing. So that can be one way to get down to just the specific one you want to talk about. Now if you're working on one specific agent, again, you have that option there as well. So the first thing I want to show you is this first one, Edit Enhance Listing. It's the blue button there. You can click on any of these buttons. So you can go ahead and click on it. This pulls up the listing and all the information that was automatically sent over from MLS to Online Office. So you can see your status here. So if that changes, you have those options. We'll talk about the generate referrals and more leads here in a moment. Here's your listing headline. Now it is going to autofill for you, and it's awfully cheesy. You can see Kalkaska, Michigan, home for sale. So I do recommend if your agents are going to be using some of these products that they can go ahead and be a little bit more creative with that listing headline. Text IVR extension is automatically given to each listing, and we'll talk about what that means here in a little bit. Listing date is there as well. And then you have the option to add in an open house. Again, open houses are not sent over automatically. You do have to add those in. But again, it's simple to do. You just click on the calendar, choose when it might be open, change your start times, and you're good to go. Street, obviously all this information comes over. If you are in a MLS that has half baths, 3/4 of baths, private baths, pay attention to how your bathrooms come over. Because of so many different MLSs feeding Online Office and so many different ways that it can come across, it doesn't always get put through correctly. So pay attention, or have your agents pay attention to the numbers of bathrooms that are being fed, because it may be incorrect. Living area, lot size, you can see just all this information. The listing URL shows up there, and then the QR code URL shows up there as well. And then the custom vanity URL, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, but that can be changed if you would like it to be changed. And then again, all of the verbiage from the MLS pops over. Now again, if you're using special characters or if you're doing some fancy stuff in your MLS, just pay attention that it's being fed through correctly and that you're not having weird characters there in that description box. So once that information is correct, if you've made any changes, you can go ahead and just click Save. And some of these more in-depth things we'll actually do on a follow-up training. because there is so much in Listings to Leads. We'll probably do a few of these going over different things. So you can see it took us back to our listings tab, and it's still just that listing popped up because that's the one you're working with, so it's nice. So you can go ahead and check that box underneath the Edit Enhanced Listing because you know that you've paid attention to it, you've looked at it, you're done with that option. Anything that pops in black means that there's something auto going on in the back. So we have the YouTube channel automatically posted for each agent, so that YouTube video should automatically be going across YouTube, so that's why it's black. The Susan most likely has the automated seller leads email going to herself, so that's why these are blacked out. When the new listing came across, she got an email for the seller generation leads, and that's why those are black. Now I just realized that my open house saved, so let me quickly go back in there and take that out so that she doesn't get confused and think she's holding an open house that she knows nothing about. So our next option here is our lead generation links. There's two ways to go about doing this. We can do it by the agent's overall profile so that they have links that are available for every property, and then those links can be changed per property. So let's go ahead and just click on that, and I can show you what I mean. So all of these links were already set up for Susan Cooper in her profile. Now you can see this home is in Kalkaska, so she may not want the location for Traverse City to show up because Kalkaska is farther outside of Traverse City. But she doesn't have one for Kalkaska set up. So what we would have to do is have Susan or log in for Susan and update that link. So let me show you quickly how to do that. So we want to go back to our agents. Let me check my questions here. That's a good point, Melissa. Melissa's point was when you update photos, it doesn't always change in the Facebook links. And I'll show you the Facebook links in a little bit. So if that's the case, you just have to manually update your Facebook photo once you've added in that link to the Facebook that you're advertising. They will eventually change, but it can take more time than when you just immediately change the photo. So that's a good question there. And Mike, if there's issues with mapping, the bathroom count and such, you just want to click on the support tab here, give them an example MLS number, tell them what the issue is, and then they can work on that mapping. So here we are in Susan Cooper, right here. We want to go ahead and go to her template. This is the banners that were automatically fed over to our new agents. And then you want to click on links and landing pages. So again, this is specific to Susan. Agents can do this from their own login, or the broker desktop can do it for any of the agents. So these are the links that you can fill out. So you can see they all link back to CB Great Lakes. This one's the Michigan Homes Magazine. And then these are specific areas. So because we're dealing with Kalkaska, we just click Add More Links. You want to type in Kalkaska, Michigan. If that city's in here, which it is, you can go ahead and click that. I did not pay attention to what the zip code was, so let me look that up quick. 49646. Select that. Now if you want this link to show up on that agent's, every single listing that agent has, you can check mark that there, and it's going to be the default link. If you don't want it to be a default link, you just uncheck it. You can see Traverse City is checked as a default link. So you can see up here it says include for all. So those are the ones that are going to default on every listing no matter what. So if you're setting this up, or if you're helping an agent set that up, you can do, and I do apologize to Ohio and Florida, I am using Michigan, it just was what I was logged in on, so I am going to go to cbgreatlakes.com. You first want to go direct to Susan's page because you want the people that come through as leads to be sticky to her. So up here in the URL, you can now see we're on Susan Cooper's page. So say we want to do Kalkaska, Michigan. Go ahead and give it a moment to come over. Now while we're waiting for that to search, I will say that currently ColdwellBanker.com does not have search result URLs that we can use. We're hoping they build that option out, but for right now we are suggesting if you're linking through for linking listings to leads, you do use CB Great Lakes, CB Hunter, or CB Florida Homes. The Zap sites, the co-banker doesn't have that opportunity yet, unfortunately. So now that we have all of our Kalkaska, Michigan's homes for sale, you can see there's 405 results. We may want to do something like 300,000 and up. There's 30 results. So now that we have our search parameters, and you can do things like waterfront, you can do things like commercial, you can do beds, baths, a lot of options here. All you have to do is copy this entire URL thread, paste it into the landing page URL here, and then you want to name it however you want the consumer to see. So it could be Kalkaska homes for sale over 300,000. Over 300,000. Now that's pretty specific, so you probably don't want to include it for all, but now that we've put it in her template, it's going to be available for all her listings. I've added those 2 links, so I want to click Save and Next. Give it a chance to save. And then it's going to tell you it was updated successfully. So now if we go back to that listing, which the agents in this order, by the way, are not alphabetical order. They're in order of when you've added them. So all the new agents that you've added are going to be at the bottom. So now that we're back to that Timberline Kalkaska property, when we go back to our lead gen links, it's going to show the ones that were checked marked for include for all. Since we've made changes, we want to sync with account links. So now this listing, because it was in prior to the changes we made, is going back into the system to view what was added since. Our Kalkaska homes for sale over 300,000 is now there. So we can check mark that one. We can check mark Kalkaska, uncheck Traverse City. So again, when we first added it in, we were in our template through our agent tab. Now we're back in our specific listing and check marking the link specific to that listing. Once you click save, it's going to save those links through, and I'll show you where those show up. You can reorder them on the screen if you want. If you want that one to be higher on the list, you just drop and drag it, save and close. And then now you'll get to see where they show up. So every single property that we have has their own single property website. It's kind of cool. You can see the URL is very specific. It's the address.thebestlisting.com, because we all know that here at Schmidt Family Companies we do have the best listings. So each property has their own single property website. Now this right here is a lead generation tool. It popped up. You can continue to, as the client, if they're viewing the single property website, they can sign with Facebook. They can sign with their email, and then that gives the agent their contact information to be able to follow up with them. Let me click off of that. So you can see up in this corner, because this is an active listing that doesn't have an open house, it's not just had a price change and it's not under contract, it simply says for sale. Now if it's been price reduced, it'll say it. If it is open house, it'll say an open house there. So here are where our links came in. Kalkaska homes for sale, Kalkaska homes for sale over 300,000. All of these links that we set now show up on the single property website. As you can see, it can be quite persistent in order to get that lead. Also, what's here is all of the agent information, their picture, all of their contact information, and as you scroll down, you can see the information that's included. Photos. It also will pull in Bing maps that have restaurants. You can link through the Zillow reviews as well. There's an option to print flyers for the client if they choose to there. And then here are the maps. Once they load, you can see the maps. And the client will have the opportunity to pick schools, restaurants, gas stations. I'm just going to go ahead and do it so it stops showing it to me. So you can see here are the maps, and it does pull through from Bing, so they can choose coffee shops, groceries, shopping, parks. And I'm sorry, it's been updated. It used to be through Bing. It is now through Yelp, so it's even more accurate. So I'm sorry about that. That was a recent change. So you can see it has these maps here. So it's very user-friendly for the client to find out more information about that property. The question was, how do consumers land on an L2L listing page? Listings to Leads is very much a push out system. The agent has to be able to push this information out. So they can put the single property website on Facebook. They can ask the seller to put it on the seller's Facebook page. It has to be pushed out in order for a client to find it. Unless they're on YouTube and they find the YouTube video, then they can stumble upon it that way as well. But Listings to Leads is very much a push out system. And some of the ways that you can do that is, like I said, you can take that single property website and advertise it on Facebook, your business page, personal page, whatever you want to do. It gives you the virtual tour option as well. Again, it pushes to YouTube, so the video will be there. And then we have these e-flyers. So you can send these directly to the seller, and it will actually ask the seller to send that on to their sphere of influence. So you're just hitting more eyeballs. So the more eyeballs that see these things, the more opportunity you have for not only buyer leads for that property, but buyer leads in general. And you can automatically send it to them by putting in the seller email address here and clicking save. Now, once you put in a price change, that seller is going to automatically get that same email that says, "Dear Mr. Seller, here's the new flyer for your property. We're super excited about the chance to market this. Could you please send this to your contacts as well?" So that's how you can get that out more often. You can also send them individually, and it kind of tells you when that you should send them, when pending, close, open houses, price reduction, everything like that. We also have print flyers in here, which can be really great if you're quickly on the fly and you want to run out to an open house. If you're running out to a showing and you're out of flyers, you can come in here quickly. You can see you have options of number of photos, what they look like, and all you have to do is click print, and it pops up a PDF, and then you just print that PDF. Again, it has all the information for the agent and all the information on that listing. So it can be a great way to have print flyers very quickly without having to create anything. We also have all of the social media marketing available here through the Facebook. So there's two options. There's the social media posts for sellers, which is what you would want to send to the seller to ask them to post to their Facebook pages. And there's social media links for you. There's the single property website that we just talked about, and there's one for tweeting, and then there's the listing e-flyer URL. So that's actually what that e-flyer that we just looked at in the other window, you can send that link out. Now, if agents have a particular property they're really trying to sell, we have seen them add these links to their email signatures as well. Click here for my great new listing, or if they happen to sit at an open house and they know it's coming up, they may, a few weeks out, put that URL in their email signature as well. Click here for the open house invitation coming up in 2 weeks, or whatever it might be. So that's another way to get that information out. Along with the social media marketing options, each listing also has their own landing page. So this is what that would look like. For sale in Kalkaska, the photo of the house is in the background. It tells a little bit information about the house. It gives them that IVR information, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And then this here can be saved. You just copy this URL, and then you can paste that into Facebook. And that can be a really good way to boost the post, to do it as a paid ad, to get information about that out. So that is the landing page for that particular listing. Now, if you do have an open house added in, that landing page is actually going to have the open house information on it as well. So it can be a really great way to get the open house information out. Because when you clicked on the open house, it brought us right back here where you're able to add in the day and time there. And as you can see, you can add in 2 separate ones. So if you're doing consecutive ones, weeks back to back, you have that option there. Let me go back into Susan because it switched me back to everybody. So that's kind of what all of those are. So if it's green, it means that it is waiting to be sent. It's not quite complete. If it's black, it means some auto-generated email or the auto YouTube video went across already. So that's how you can kind of tell the difference there. Anything that doesn't is a manual checkbox. So you've looked at the single property website, you've pasted it to Facebook, you can go ahead and check mark that for yourself. These here are simply so that you know if you've taken care of the activity that you needed to do for that particular property. The question just came through from Denise. What is open house lead generation? You're probably wondering what that big green button was. So if you click on this, or if your agent clicks on that, it actually talks about different ways to market open houses using listings to leads. So it's kind of a tutorial, a how-to, some tips and tricks. So it can be really good if your agents are trying to boost traffic to their open house to mention that button to them. And again, it's right here in the edit listing, right where they're adding in the open house times. It's just a link through to that how-to page. So good question there, Denise. Okay, so we're going to hit back. And now I want to talk a little bit about the seller emails. So I did show you that you can get to them from here, from the e-flyers, print flyers reports, send directly to seller, and you can update that there. There is a traffic report in Listings to Leads, but I'm always very hesitant to tell agents to use that. And the reason why is it's just traffic from Listings to Leads. It's not tracking CB Florida Homes, CB Hunters, CB Great Lakes, Coldwell Banker, Zillow, Trulia, MLS, Realtor.com. Home. It's not tracking anything but the Listings to Leads traffic. Now, if you have an agent that's in it to win it with L2L, they're using it all the time and the traffic looks great, by all means send that traffic report to the seller. But if your agents are just using a landing page here or the single property website there and they're not all in, I would hesitate to send that traffic report because it's not the whole picture. What they can do, though, is send it to themselves so that the agent has that information that they can then add into other traffic reports that they may be sending out to the clients. Okay, let's talk about text IVR real quick. So each property, and if you're in the Edit Enhanced Listing, it shows you what that number was. I won't be able to find it right now, but it is in here as well. There we go. The text IVR extension is right here. But there's an easier way to get a bigger picture if you want to look at all the properties at one time, and that's by clicking on Text IVR here. Again, we're in the broker desktop, so if you're an agent on the call, it's going to go right to all of your IVR numbers, but since we're in broker, we have to choose our agent. Unlike the first screen, these actually do come through as alphabetical order. It's one of those little quirks that Listings to Leads like to use to keep us on our toes. You can see it's processing there. And now here are all of our IVR extension numbers. Now, each property in Listings to Leads does have a QR code. Codes are kind of becoming antiquated. They're not altogether attractive on marketing pieces, but they are still available if there is a reason why your agent wants to use them. They are available there. They can download them into any of these different formats if they choose to. But the cool thing is this IVR number. So you can see up top here, these two numbers don't change. Your toll-free number and your short code text number. Those always stay the same. Your code for your properties will change. So here's that Timberline one that we just were using. This is our extension here. So if Mr. Homebuyer or Mrs. Homebuyer on the street was in front of this property and your agent had a flyer or name writer out front that had the number and the short text number, the client could text this number to that number and they automatically get a text back, and it has all the information from the single property website. It shows everything, all the listings, all the listing photos, the price, and the agent information. At the same time, the agent receives an email or a text, depending how their profile is set up, with that home buyer's cell phone number. So they can go ahead and reach out to them if they want to. So it's a really cool program. The client's getting the information they want right away, but the listing agent is also capturing that lead contact info. Works the same way if they call the number. Not everybody's comfortable with text. If they call that number, 888-881-6801, it's going to prompt them for the extension. The client types in 12883, and they're going to have a few options. One of the options is going to be hear more about the home, and it's an automated voice that tells them a little bit more about the property, the address, the price, beds, baths. They also have the option to connect through the list agent. So if they press 2, it's automatically going to connect through the cell phone number that the agent has in their profile. So it can be a great way for the agent to automatically be connected to the potential buyer. Even if the buyer chooses to not get connected directly through to the agent, the system is capturing that phone number and sending it to the list agent. So the list agent will also capture the phone number, whether it's from the toll-free number or from the text code. We have a lot of agents in Michigan. We have 2 magazines in we have one in the Lakeshore Holland region and one in Houghton Higgins Lake that uses these IVR numbers on all of their listings. They show the URL for CB Great Lakes, but they also have the IVR information in there as well. So it can be a great way for a client, if they're not particularly ready to talk to somebody, to get the information about the house they want. But then we do get the number on the back end as well for the agent to follow up with their lead. Now on the broker level, the system actually does track leads. The broker login, which is why we only allow our managers and admins and ASCs to have it, does track all of the leads that are coming in. So if your agent asked because they couldn't find the email, or if they got one and wasn't sure where it came from, Listings2Leads is tracking it. Now on the agent level login, if the agent logs in, they can get to their own leads as well. You can see here too, you can export leads. So if you're not automatically sending your Listings2Leads leads through Zap, you can export them from here and import them into Zap in order to put them on drip campaigns. You can see here, because I put in my information on that single property website, it showed up here. This is the lead. That was my name. It was Susan Cooper's lead, my email address, my phone number. So it is kept in this information here. And it does tell you where it comes from. So again, that's on your leads. So we first were talking about text IVR. Again, if you're on the broker desktop, you have to choose the agent that you want to see it for. If you're an agent, you just click on there and all of your text and IVR numbers will show up. And again, this toll-free number and short code text number don't change. It's going to be the same. So we do have a lot of agents that will get name writers with that number printed on and then go to Ace Hardware or wherever and get stickers to keep replacing that extension for the specific home. So that is how the text IVR works. Now I do want to mention one more thing, especially for our Ohio offices that have recently had a DBA change, or our Sunstar offices that are starting to use the tagline part of Schmidt family of companies. If you as a manager or admin or ASC come to here where it says lead links and logo, edit banner and logo, if this is not your proper DBA, if it still says Hunter and you're Schmidt family of companies now, or if you're Sunstar and you want the tagline part of Schmidt family of companies on there, go ahead and reach out to the marketing department or myself, and we can provide you with updated logos and banners so that we can get those updated, because those will filter through to all your agents. So again, we would want to update them on the broker desktop for your office. Once they're updated, we'd want to go to the profile, just like we did when we added a new agent. And we would want to click logos and banners to push those updated logos to all of our agents. So there is an opportunity to very easily update that. But if you need any help getting your hands on the proper logos, just let me know or let the marketing department know and we can help you with that. I am going to open it up to questions. I know that was a lot of content. Listings2Leads has a lot of content. The good thing with Listings2Leads, other than their great support staff, is they do have all of these tutorials and frequently asked questions. So while I wait for questions to come in, I'm going to show you that real quick. Click on Tutorials and FAQ. The Support Center comes up. There's Quick Start Guides for agents, and there's webinars. So if your agent's trying to track down how to do something, or if you're trying to help them do something, by all means come in here. There's great articles, there's great videos, it explains a lot of different things. We didn't really have time to talk about landing pages. I did do a Blue Sync about it. Time flies, so I'm not quite sure, but if you go to your online office in the Resource Center, there is a Blue Sync about landing pages. But this can be a great way for a new agent to get started in the business without even having listings. So you can see there's property valuations, there's ones for empty nesters, there's custom, there's ones for growing families. So depending on what your agent wants to market to, they have these landing pages that can be then put on their websites. It can be put into social media. It can be emailed out, however they choose to use it. Now keep in mind, Listings to Leads is really meant to generate leads. So that is why the system can work for agents. It can do leads for specific listings or just for the agent in general. And I did not see any new questions come in, so let me just quickly go through and make sure I didn't miss any. And again, if you have a question you want to verbalize, just go ahead and send me a note and I can unmute you. It looks like I've covered them all. So I am going to go ahead and wrap. But again, after the fact, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me phone 231-995-8166, or my email, which you probably get a ton of email from me, whether you want it or not, is Carrie, CARRIE .SKOMP@cbgreatlakes.com. You can always reach out to me after the fact. And I did have 2 questions come in, so let me address those quickly. The details of the listings don't autofill, so Jennifer has to manually put those in for each property under features, and then she adds new tabs from Pure Michigan. So we have a mapping issue apparently with your MLS. So I will reach out to you after the fact, Jennifer, and get a few example MLS numbers that you've not updated yet. And then we will make sure that we get that mapping corrected so that those features are coming in correctly. And I like the tabs from Pure Michigan, so I'm assuming you're adding that to the links page so that there's another link there for the clients to click through. That's kind of a cool idea. Sue in Indian River asked, the entry that she has under the company name, including the address, does not show on each agent in the agent list. Do those need to be updated individually? Yes, so you'll need to go into your agents. Those must have not been entered on the front end correctly. Go into each individual agent and then update the company here, because that will not autofill what the broker desktop says. So you'll want to make sure that there's one correct, copy it, and then go into each individual agent and update that. Unfortunately, there's not a fix for that. Oh, the videos, Jennifer. Okay, you're adding videos from Pure Michigan. Okay, great. Well, I don't see any other questions, so again, reach out to me after if anything comes up. I really appreciate you coming here for our first and third at 3. Again, we'll be back on our 3rd week, which is the 15th of November. And we are going to have Judy Lubtick talk to us about dotloop. So she will be taking a deep dive into dotloop and hopefully getting our company into going paperless. So thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we can come back on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock and join us for dotloop. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.